Hi, my name is Michaela Durst, and I am going to be discussing the Communication Privacy Management Theory by Sandra Petrino. And she believes that private information can strengthen a relationship with people in your life when you tell them. She also, on the other hand, believes that it can really put stress on those relationships because it reduces the chances of it remaining private when you tell people. And so this theory was actually piggybacked from the social penetration theory created by Erwin Altman and Dalmas Taylor. They believed in self-disclosure, and that self-disclosure was really the only way to develop a close relationship with people. And so the communication privacy management theory contains three main parts: privacy ownership, privacy control, and privacy turbulence. And these parts allows us to decide who we want to tell our info to, what information we want to give, and then how we manage that information when it gets mishandled. She looks at privacy control as the main engine of the management, like a car. You don't have an engine, you can't go. And so privacy control is a part that includes our decision-making process and how or who we want to share our information to and how we want to tell it. And so we won't tell our neighbor across the street the same thing we're going to tell our family and friends and parents too. So the theoretical orientation I will be discussing is privacy control, and I had a friend who has had a really hard home life, and she told me so many things that had to be kept secret, and it was really hard because I really wanted to let other people know, and she didn't want me to tell anybody. It was just between me and her, but I wanted to tell people to help her, and so I had to really keep that a secret, and it was really hard for me to do that. So Petronio gives us 5 core principles for this theory. The first one is that we believe we own and have a right to control our private information. We choose to tell or not. Second, we control our private information through the use of personal privacy rules. So we create those rules. We make them ourselves. And the third is when others are told or given access to this private information, they become co-owners. And those co-owners have a responsibility of what they're going to do with that information. So the fourth one is that co-owners need to agree on the rules and boundaries that are set. So my friend, it was just between me and her, nobody else. And so that was what the rules were. And I was responsible for keeping that information private and not tell anybody. And if making the rules is not done correctly and effectively, then privacy turbulence will be the result. And I really like her metaphor that she uses, and it's in the textbook. She believes it's like a map, and each party or person or co-owner should be able to take that map and that piece of information and draw a boundary around it. And they should all be the same, respectively. So she refers to the term of disclosure of private information instead of using self-disclosure like Altman and Taylor did. And she likes using that specific term because it directs our attention to the content and context of the information that we are privy to. And this theory is also a rule-based theory. And Petronio tells us that these rules are open for interpretation. It just depends on how well the owner tells what the rules are. And they're not ironclad rules if you're not careful. I mean, they can be, but you have to really be specific. So Petronio gives us 5 factors that play into how we develop the privacy rules we create: culture, gender, motivation, context, and risk-benefit ratios. Again, there's a risk if you tell people your private information because it's no longer private. She also talks about boundaries and that they can be thick, they can be thin, closed, or tightly stretched. And the textbook gives us an amazing example of a daughter who wants to respect her father, and he is telling the doctor not everything about his health and how he's doing, and so it's a huge risk to him because he could die if the doctor doesn't know exactly what is happening to him or what is going on or what he's doing. And so the daughter has to make that decision to either break those boundaries and know that the doctor can help him in the end, or keep silent and potentially see her father die. And so in that case, Petronio says, health and well-being and safety are more important for sure than privacy. So there are a couple of critiques that I have for this theory, and the first is that Petronio is not exactly clear in her theory, and she seems to contradict herself. Like I mentioned, she talks about how there are certain occasions for breaking those rules and boundaries. And while I do agree with them, I mean, if you're going to make rules and boundaries, then they shouldn't be broken. The second critique is that we all need to realize from the start, if we choose to share our info to people, that we have to make those rules and boundaries clear, and that it's no longer private. And then the last critique is that Petronio is not clear on the negotiations of rules, and I wish she would have elaborated more on her thoughts as that process. Thank you so much for watching this video, and have a great semester. Thank you. Bye.